Well, as we continue to cover the tragedy in Southern California, another crisis is underway, an insurance crisis, and it's one of California's own making. In 1988, California voters passed Proposition 103, a textbook example of the left-wing love affair with government price controls and heavy regulation. Under Prop 103, insurance companies have to get government approval before raising rates. The red tape hasn't allowed insurance prices to keep up with insurance losses. And over time, that imbalance causes the entire system to collapse. As you can see here, major players like State Farm and Allstate have pulled back on writing insurance, leaving thousands of homeowners scrambling for alternatives. That's where California.
Welcome to the DeMarkco effect, where you get the full effect of me. So, like I said, we have videos already made about the wildfire and everything, commenting on it. One thing, if y'all don't know, insurance companies pull out of states like Florida and California. There's a other couple of ones, but California is a big one. The only reason why California is a big one is solely because California is one of the states that always has something going on, whether it be an earthquake, whether it be, wildfire or anything like that. And what he's talking about, like he said, is Proposition 103. So it says it requires insurers to get government approval before raising rates. It limits use of predictive models for risk. So essentially what they don't do is they don't update with the times. And that's because of California. But that's California doing. Okay, what he's explaining in this video is these insurance places they have pulled out, and State Farm did it as well. Now, they did that also. Remember when the hurricane was supposed to happen? Was that a hurricane? Yeah, Hurricane Milton. That was Florida. When a hurricane happened out there, their insurance companies, they were pulling out and letting them know, hey, if y'all don't leave, we're not paying for these damages, especially if you guys know that you guys are not leaving. So what was happening was a lot of people stayed. Some houses did get ruined, but it wasn't too much. But they were letting them know that they were not paying for the damages of it. That's the same exact thing that's happening now with this. And, he's just explaining it, what's going on.
Pulled back on writing insurance, leaving thousands of homeowners scrambling for alternatives. That's where California's state-run insurer of last resort, the FAIR Plan, comes in. But here's the problem. The FAIR Plan is woefully underfunded. It has about $700 million in reserves, but the Pacific Palisades fire alone represents a $6 billion liability. The math just isn't adding up, and California homeowners and taxpayers, as a result, may be on the hook. Well, joining us now is Kaya Stanley, CRMBC CEO and insurance industry expert. Kaya, we're glad to have you with us today. Help us understand what's happening with insurance in California and why it's really important for other states to pay attention to what's happening here.
It's important because it's going to ripple outside of California and affect every state. So as you pointed out, one of the reasons, there's many reasons why the insurers pulled out, but one of them was because of regulatory requirements. Reinsurance went up, inflation, caused increases in pricing. There was a lot of factors. And
there was a video of Joe Biden discussing, trying to say something like, well, yeah, we left the country stronger. The country hasn't been left stronger because if the country is left stronger, governments would have operated much better than they operated. Part of this problem, and it can lead into the next person that's going to be the governor of California as well. Part of this problem is Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom is a big part of this problem. The reason why I say he's a big part of this problem is because if they were to make sure that this problem, make sure that even there were fire hydrants or they were even with the Prop 103, if they were to make sure that something was just a little bit different, because the administration or people that's coming in is supposed to make it better. They're not. The goal is not to keep anything the same. The goal is to make it better, and it might be changes that you have to do. And it hasn't been really anything.
And when insurance companies can't be profitable and they can't raise their rates because of regulatory requirements, they are going to leave. And so that's what we saw here. And they only left the high risk areas. So a lot of these companies still write insurance in other parts of California and other lines of insurance. So they might have just pulled out of homes, but in businesses, but they still write auto, for example.
There's a great article in the Wall Street Journal that says, when California's insurance falls short, everyone else pays. You hinted at this, right? That we could actually see rates for insurance in other states go up because of some of the policy issues that we've seen in California. Does that data and that analysis track with what you see and what you hear?
Absolutely, because the point of insurance is to spread risk. So we collect rates from the many to cover the few, the losses of the few. And when you have a natural disaster, and not just in California, but the other natural disasters that we've seen around the country, that disrupts that balance. And so the money that's collected to cover the losses of a few is just decimated. And so they've got to recoup their money somewhere. So they're going to look to states that have no natural disasters and fewer.
Can y'all imagine this? Just see how crazy this looks. You would never, ever, ever, never catch me living in California. This is terrible. Wow.
Less risk and less regulation. And then people in like Maine and Vermont who didn't do anything wrong and had no natural disaster, they're going to see their rates go up because this has got to balance out somewhere.
Yeah. Everybody agrees that this is the worst natural disaster in U.S. history, even Gavin Newsom. President Trump is asking some logical questions about what went wrong here in California specifically, and he's making a comparison to other countries. Please listen.
You go to other countries in Europe, Austria and Finland and numerous countries, and I talk to the heads, they're forest nations, they're in forests, and they don't have problems like this.
The head of Austria tells me, we have trees that are much more flammable than what you have in California. We never have forest fires because they maintain their forests. And you could revert water up into the hills where you have all the dead forests, where the forests are so brittle.
As we talk about insurance here, if we don't address...
Yep. That's a part of it. And it speaks back to what I was saying. We just don't handle what we're supposed to handle. If you're going to come into a spot and you're going to say that you're going to make change in it and it's going to be good, and you're going to be the governor or you're going to be the president or just any type of job when you're supposed to make something better, if you're continuing to do the same exact thing that wasn't working before, you're part of the problem. With this, it just got to be a better way that we operate. Other than that, leave a like for the algorithm. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. And y'all let me know exactly what y'all think about this situation.